Hi, Mr. Andrew here, and today we're talking about percent problems, and these are the classic problems where it's what is the percent of blank, blank is the percent of 75, things like that. And really we can actually translate these. We can completely translate them, and at the bottom of the page I'm going to include a translation box. So this orange box is going to contain our translations. So here, the first translation, let's get this up now that we're done with the title. I'm going to include my first translation here, and that is the word is. You see is in both of these sentences, and you'll see them many times over. Is an equal sign. Okay? Now, another word you'll see is what. You'll see what or what number. And this is going to be a variable, and we're just going to leave it as the variable x. I use x the most often. Mathematicians seem to like x quite a bit, so we're just going to continue to use x. Another word in which we have to look out for is the word of. Okay? And of means multiply, so I'm going to put a dot, and that means multiplication. Okay, don't confuse that with the x, which is a variable. Okay, so as we read these, we read left to right, and we will form an equation as we read left to right. So what? So that's x is an equal sign. Percents, I need to actually translate those into decimals. One of the rules is I cannot really use a percent in my equations here. I gotta say that is 0.75 instead of 75%, and I just got that by moving the decimal 2 spaces to the left. If there's confusion on that, please watch the video on how to change percents into decimals. Okay, well, the next word after 75% is of, so that is multiply, and then 28 is 28. So here we have x equals 0.75 times 28. So all we have to do to solve this, to solve for the unknown, which we just labeled x, is 0.75 times 28. And I'm just doing this on a calculator. At this point, we're really testing you on whether you can set up these equations and solve them, not if you can do long division or long multiplication. So here, this is just equal to 21. So what is 75% of 28? Well, that's 21. Okay? So here, let's do another one. We have 15 is what percent of 25? So here we have 15. First thing we come across is 15, and 15 is 15. Is an equal sign, as we see in the box down here. Okay? What is x? We don't know what. In fact, is what percent. So we know this is going to be a percent of 75. So of is multiplication, as we can see down here, and 75 is 75. Okay, now here's a couple caveats to this. We have to now solve this. X times 75. Well, we have to divide that 75 off the x. I'm solving for x, so I want to remove whatever's on it. I want to remove that 75. This cancels out. I'm left with a 1 or a 1x, which is what I want. 1x is what I want. And now, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I have to do that same operation over here. 15 divided by 75. 15 divided by 75. And that is 0.2. Again, feel free to use a calculator, or you can do long division if you want. Now 0.2. But really what this asks is what percent? And I got 0.2. Well, if I think about it, as I mentioned earlier, we have to use percents we have to use the decimals of the percents in our equations. So it makes sense we'd get the decimal of the percent out. So what I actually have to do is I have to say my answer. Well, that's actually 20%. And just how I got my percent to go to a decimal by moving it to the left up here, to get my decimal to go to a percent, I need to move it to the right 2 spots. So that is 20%. So the answer to that is 20%. Thank you, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me.